Hello dear students. Today I am back with new video which will be featuring a new chapter, the very first chapter of your textbook Flamingo of class 12, The Last Lesson. The Last Lesson by Alphonse Daudet. Do you know who is Alphonse Daudet? Alphonse Daudet is a French writer, a story writer, one of the most renowned French writers. And he wants to reflect in this chapter the conditions, the impact, the effect of two districts of France while war was going between France and Germany. When there was a war between France and Germany, what happened? France was defeated. Obvious, German triumphed. And if German triumphed, it overpowered the most important districts of France that were Alsace and Lorraine. Alsace and Lorraine, these two districts were greatly affected by this war. At the same time, the writer wants to reflect what's the relationship between a teacher and a student prevail in a school campus, usually when we get a strict teacher like M. Hamel. This complete story, right from the very first line to the last line, has been narrated by a French boy. An important character of this story. The name of that boy is French, a school-going boy. And what's the name of his teacher? I've already told you, M. Hamel. M. Hamel is one of the French teacher. He is very strict by nature, but he is sincere towards his duty, towards his responsibilities. He maintains discipline in his class. He follows iron rules everywhere. So the students rarely attend his class. French, like other students, he doesn't like M. Hamel's class. Due to his strictness, he is a French language teacher. So, Alphonse Daudet, through this chapter, wants to reflect what was going in the last class of M. Hamel, especially when he came to know that day was his last class. What's the feelings, what's the emotions of M. Hamel during his last class? And what's the feelings of the students, especially French, on his that day? When he came to know that day was the last class of his teacher, M. Hamel. At the beginning of the chapter, in the very first line, we came to know how French always doing late for school. He was not interested to go to school timely. That day, he had to complete the assignment given by M. Hamel, and his assignment based on participles. Usually, he didn't complete the assignment, the homework given by M. Hamel. That day also, he hadn't completed his homework. So, he was late for school. Intentionally, he was late for school. And very beautifully, he narrated his feelings and his dislike towards M. Hamel's class. When he told that, as I didn't complete my homework and I was late for school. When he just late for school, he came outside from his home. On the way, he was distracted by seeing number of things on the path, on the way. What kinds of the things? What kinds of all those distractions that present during his path? This one is given. As we come to know, Alsace and Lorraine were overpowered by German. And due to this, who came there? Prussian soldier came there. When Prussian soldier came there, their drilling, the sound of their drilling, the sound of other activities prevail in the atmosphere. And all these, the tempting things, all these are tempting French not to attend M. Hammel's class. He was shocked to see a huge gathering nearby the bulletin board on his path of school. But he has already late for the school, so he didn't have time to came to know what's the genuine reason behind the gathering, behind the crowd nearby the bulletin board. Bulletin board playing an important part of that place. It used to convey all kinds of the bad and good news of France. Through that bulletin board, French people came to know what was going in France. But Franz was already late for the school, so he didn't have time to get out, to come to know what's the reason, what's the real reason behind that gathering. So he moved towards his school. But before this, what happened? A blacksmith was there, and that blacksmith, seeing French in a hurry, made a comment. He passed a satiric comment. Do you know what is satire? When the surface meaning is quite different from its hidden meaning. Blacksmith said to French, "Hey, why are you so hurry for the school? You had plenty of time." This plenty of time, it's quite ridiculous for French. Anyhow, somehow he reached to school. When he reached to the school, he noticed a quite unusual atmosphere in the school campus. Why? The writer used, the narrator French used unusual. Why not usual atmosphere? Why that day had unusual atmosphere? Obvious. The result of the war affected that school. Usually there was hustle bustle in the school. But that day, when French entered the school, he noticed a complete silence, a mournful silence prevailed in the school. There was no hustle bustle. There was no sound for rapping the rulers by the teachers. French was surprised. What's the reason behind such silence? Stealthily, he wanted to enter M. Hammel's class due to the fear of his scold. But when he entered the class, when he wanted the permission to enter the class, M. Hammel politely, very modest, he said, "Get inside, French." French was shocked at such a changing behavior, a drastic change in the behavior of M. Hammel. How M. Hammel, in such a cool way, gave him permission. Because French was expected his scold at the late of his school. But that was also unusual for French. Anyhow, he reached to his place. And again he was surprised in the class to see unusual, the special wearings of M. Hammel. You know, that day M. Hammel used to wear what kinds of the dress? A special dress. That wearings he used to wear on a special day, just like prize distribution day or annual function. M. Hammel was very sad. His facial expressions was so of grief was fixed on his face. He mounted from his chair. He stood up. He delivered the class that Do you know, my dear students, today we get an order from Berlin. What's the order, do you know? Order that from tomorrow, German language replaced French language. That means from tomorrow, French language will not be taught in the school of Alsace and Lorraine. This one was just like a thunderclap for each and everyone who were present in that class. France was also receiving this news, this saying of Amhamel as a thunderclap. Why? This one was thunderclap for each and everyone, as it was quite unexpected news. Now Amhamel declared that an order came from Berlin that was given on the bulletin board that from tomorrow German language you will get. You will not get more class of French language. Everyone was shocked. No one was expected such kinds of the news. No one. Then what happened? Then friends looking at the last bench of the class. Usually that last bench was emptied. That last bench was never occupied by someone. But that day, villagers came there. Villagers occupied the last bench. In order to pay regards to Amhamel, such a sincere teacher who dedicated his life, who devoted his life to that school for last 40 years. 40 years is not a less time. It's a long time to serve in the same place. Amhamel, he was greatly attached to that school. He was not happy to leave that school. He said that what's the importance of own language, national language, as they are French people. So in their life, there is a great importance of French language. He said that each and everyone should have known the significance of his and her national language. We need a special command over our language. Language is the key to get freedom from our slavery. You, all the French people, if you want to get free from your slavery, you need to command over our language, over your language. You need a special guard on your language. This one is the key to get free you from your imprisonment, from your slavery by the German people. So, my dear students, he started to deliver his last class by saying that, by signifying the French language. He says that French is one of the most beautiful, most significant and logical language. It is not only the most beautiful, symbolical and logical language. It is the first and foremost language through that we get our existence, through that we get our identifications. In such a beautiful way, he signifies the French language. By this, Alphonse Daudet says that not only French language, for each and every citizen, his and her language having the same importance. He wants to reflect, he wants to highlight. We need to have a special command, a special knowledge on our language. Language is the pillar of our success. So, in this way, he says that he signifies that language. And also at the same time, he regrets. Why he regrets? Having a question in your mind. What's the reason behind his regret? His regret that he is not able to convey, to impart the proper knowledge of French language among students. Why? As he doesn't know how to make his teaching effective. He always engages all of the students in his two hobbies, gardening and fishing. He says to the students, there are two reasons behind your hollow knowledge in French language. The very first, your parents engage you to earn your livelihood. And the second one, my ignorance, my engagement with you in my hobbies, gardening and fishing. Now, he wanted to give the last message to his class. He wanted to signify how he loved his country, France. So, the last line, the last message he delivered to his class is, Vive la France, long live France. That means French language, French people, always be successful, always be fruitful, and having a long life. In such a way, he ended his last class. I hope you come to know about M. Hamels, what kinds of the teacher he is, how he is a language teacher, how he is very strict by nature, how he follows discipline in his classroom, and how he himself responsible behind the hollow knowledge of the French students in French language. Also, we came to know about the feelings of the narrator, French, a boy, instantly how he changed his views towards his teacher. Previously, he didn't like his teacher. Soon after, when he came to know that this one is the last class of M. Hamel, his language teacher, he wanted to give all the answer of his question. He wanted to know each and everything, minute details of French language. And he also regrets at his distraction from his class of M. Hamel. So these two questions are very important. Sketch the character of M. Hamel. How does the view of French has changed from the beginning at the end of the chapter? Third one, write about the usual and unusual atmosphere of the school. By this, M. Hamel concluded his last class. Thank you very much.